Yo, guys, what's up? It's your boy, John Cena. Nah, just kidding. Joseph, and currently standing on my bed because I wanted to get this flag in the video because I got this flag when I was 10 years old. My father took me to El Salvador and got to have an experience of a lifetime to learn about my culture and about the background of my history, of my family. Because all my life when I was a kid, until I was 10, I thought I was Mexican. I remember one day finally asking my dad, like, "Hey, Dad, what part of Mexico are we from?" And he was just like, Mexico? What? Like we're not Mexican, we're Salvadoran. And I was confused because I was like, we speak Spanish, like we beans. Like what do you mean? And he was like, no, like that's what that means. Like we're from Central America, sorry. And I was like, what? So I got really immersed into what my culture was and like where my people were from and what like just the history of how we got here. And so he told me and my grandfather was a general of the guerrilla army in El Salvador called La FMLN, and he was just tired of his family and the people in the city that he was living in just not having no help, like just pretty much living in shacks made of like tin and having just the bare minimum to survive. He was starving every day, and he had to give his food to his siblings because he didn't have the resources to live a normal life, and he was tired of it. And he joined people around and caused havoc, I guess you would say, in El Salvador. And once things got a little heated, he fled to America because they started taking out some of the members of our family, and he had to lie low for a little bit. So, and when I heard that, I was like, oh my god, like that's crazy. Like that's sort of a movie story you hear, and I obviously my grandfather, we were living with him, so I was like, you did all this stuff, and he disowns all of it. He doesn't like talking about it. And living in LA, my block was mostly Mexican and black, and so once I found out I was Salvadorian, I was like, oh my god, like I felt this whole like nationalism, such like passion about wow, like I'm unique, I'm different, like I'm Salvadorian, and so I decided to try to represent every time, and the flag always reminds me of you know trying to be good or better because Salvadorans unfortunately aren't really known. I always tell people that the only thing that we ever get recognized for is our pupusas and being bad at soccer and MS-13. And one of the three of those things are good. So I want to make sure that I leave a legacy or leave at least the people that I know the idea of like, when I think of Salvadorian, you know, Joe comes to mind and he's successful and living in LA, being from South Central, everyone always tells me that I was the white boy from the block who got out of it, and I can't say was the smartest one, but I like to say that I'm one of the most successful ones, and I just think about my friends that I grew up with, and I saw like the best stuff that would happen, and I would always tell myself like I wouldn't want that to happen to me, and I don't want to be in that situation. And it sucked because some of the things that my friends had to go through, they really didn't have role models. The role model that I have with my father, and he was kind of like a badass in the hood, I guess, because he had the little man complex, so no one could ever tell him anything. And my dad got into numerous fights because being from LA, you got to show, that you're not gonna get punked around and that you're a fighter. And so my dad, squabbled people. He put people in the hospital and stuff. So I always thought that was super cool to hear because I'm not much of a fighter myself, but um, it goes shows like the toughness and the passion he had for wanting to represent who he was and show how strong he was. And I think what I learned is that we're all fighters, and I take that to heart with my family because I had great male role models to show me, when you're passionate about something and when there's people that you care about involved in it, you got to go all in and you got to focus on that and do it for them. So I think about my friends that still live with their parents and didn't have opportunities that I had and didn't have their parents there or got into drugs or got into game banging and um one thing that I always try to do is never stray away from where we're from, or how we look. You know, you see me every day, gold chains, bandana, flannel. You know, because that's what we are. That's my culture, and I like to represent that visually and, like, just every day. So I think about when I moved to Fresno. I thought about, wow, like, I lived in Tower, and I lived in the bad side of Tower, I guess. And I thought to myself, wow, the ghetto is not just in LA. Apparently, it's everywhere. And I think about the kids that are there, the fighters there trying to fight for their life. And I think we need to focus on that and help those kids that are in those situations who, don't have a father, stuck in the what they call the hood, and, they want to do good, but all they keep hearing is bad stuff. Like I tell everybody, all the public narratives you hear about LA being bad, Salvadorians being this and everything. I always tell myself, like, that's crazy how every single bad group you could be in, I feel like I'm part of or from. So, but it doesn't discourage me. It makes me actually passionate, and it makes me want to fight more. It makes me hungrier, and makes me want to just prove everybody wrong. I love having that chip on my shoulder, and there's kids out there too that I know that they have that chip as well. So I think we need to help those fighting as well, and never give up the fight for what we're passionate about. And I think moving forward, whatever I can do to help those who were like me, I'm gonna do it, because like my grandfather, like my father, and like me, I'm crazy. First thing, and then I'm have intentions more bigger than me. Like, you gotta do it for the people around you. So peace, guys.